If only these grifters would actually listen to their daddy, strongman personal finance, also known as Christopher Allen Bell, certified public accountant, tax preparer extraordinaire. So my favorite turbo manlet and YouTube multimillionaire, Graham Stephan, got his cheeks absolutely cooked by a clown CPA. He posted a video where he tells us about how he lost $1 million. And in that video, I saw some very interesting content that I really wanted to react to because it's a teaching point, number one. And number two, I can shill my tax preparation and consulting services. See the pinned comment. So let's go ahead and react to old Turbo Manlet. Hey guys. Woo! Let's make sure we're sharing. Yeah. I'm sorry, Graham. I have to make fun of your height. Like, what else am I going to make fun of? You know, you got such dreamy, beautiful eyes. You know, they just suck me in. They enthrall me. I have to make fun of your height because overall, when it comes to grifters, you're the least bad. Anyway, so at 4 minutes into this video, Graham Stephan tells us about his CPA and how he got absolutely cooked. He got cooked. Let's react.
Would be paying taxes. In 2014, I started working with a new CPA who seemed pretty diligent and well-priced. Like, she'd help me optimize my income, structure LLCs, tell me different ways that I could save. She handled my taxes. At the very beginning, everything was fine. Although,
I heard she, red flag. I'm just kidding. So he says that he got a CPA back in 2014. That was before he went crazy on YouTube, right? And once you start making a lot more income, it's not very hard to calculate somebody's taxes or to estimate somebody's taxes, but it does add complexity, especially if you're investing in private equity, which he did, and he's probably got an S corporation set up, I would imagine, or multiple corporations. He's probably got multiple LLCs. Your life starts to get really complex, and you really have to be careful. If you have a CPA or even somebody that's not a CPA and they were doing your taxes before your income really took off, you might be in trouble because if you're not doing the proper withholdings or estimated payments, you're going to get cooked the first year that you make a lot of money with self-employment. But this CPA really screwed up.
So as I started earning a little bit more money and doing YouTube videos, I started to get the sense that she didn't actually know what she was doing. But until that point, nothing had gone wrong, so I continued. And then 2020 hit. In 2020, she recommended that I get a 6-month extension to give her more time to file my taxes. So I went and asked her, okay, that's totally fine. How much do I have to pay the IRS? To which she said, oh, don't worry, you're all caught up. You're not going to have to pay again until the end of the year. So I trusted her. I just let it be, and I continued on making.
Oh, that is not good. Okay, here's how extensions work. Geniuses. You can file an extension for up to 6 months. So your taxes and your tax return is due if you're an individual by April 15th. If you have a pass-through entity, you're part of a partnership or you have an S corporation, your tax return is due 3/15, March 15th. And the reason that is the case is because people need their LLC or their partnership or their S corporation return completed, and they get a form K1 and they have to report that on their individual tax return. And if you don't have that K1, you're cooked. You got to file an extension, okay? Because you have to wait until that partnership or that S corporation furnishes you with the K1. But here's the thing. There's a lot of partnerships in K1s or in S corporations, that are going to file late because an S corporation and a partnership can extend too. And if you don't get that K1, you cannot file your individual taxes. You need the form. So here's how you do it, okay? First of all, you need to understand that your taxes are due April 15th. They are due April 15th. You can extend for up to 6 months to file, but the taxes are due on April 15th. And most states generally fall in that guideline as well. There's some states, I think, they might bump it out to May 1st. But on average, federal and state taxes are due, even if you're not filing the return, even if you're just doing an extension on April 15th. So here's how it goes, okay? Let's say Graham Stephan came to me and he said, Chris, I can't file my taxes yet. I'm waiting on a K-1. And I say, okay, Graham, give me everything you have now. Let me know what you're missing. So he gives me all his little, documents. I put it into his tax return and he lets me know what he's missing. And I say, okay, Graham, I know you're a member of a partnership. How much flow through partnership income do you think you're going to receive and have to report on your tax return from the previous year? And if he doesn't know, he needs to actually go to the partnership and get an estimate of his flow through profit. You need it. They owe that to you. Even if they're not going to file the return until after the extension deadline, they still owe you an estimate of how much profit you're going to make. Potentially. It's an estimate. So once he gets that estimate, I'm going to put it into his return. I'm going to flag it so I can catch it later. But once I have that estimate, I can get a very close approximation of how much tax is due. Then, once I have the total tax liability that he owes, we'll file an extension with a payment. You can pay, and you need to pay, or you're going to pay freaking penalties and interest. You need to pay by April 15th. That's how that works. If you have to extend, you still have to pay. If you're not sure what your pass-through income is going to be, you need to get an estimate. Once I have that estimate, I can file an extension for you, and you pay your taxes on or before April 15th. Otherwise, you're going to get your cheeks clapped, okay? I don't think a lot of people understand that. An extension is not an extension to pay. It's an extension to file. Keep that in mind. This CPA made a huge mistake. Oh, you're good. You're good. Now, it could have maybe been a miscommunication because maybe the CPA should have asked, but then again, maybe the CPA didn't know that he was making all this side money. Maybe she didn't know. If the client doesn't tell you, you should ask, is there anything else you should tell me about? I don't know. If the client doesn't tell you, you don't know. You have no idea. Okay? So in that case, the CPA should be defended. But if the CPA asked and he told her, yeah, I think I got $1 million of profit this year, the CPA should have put that as an estimate in his tax return, calculated the tax liability for federal and state, and then made him pay an extension payment for federal and state. That's what the CPA should have done, assuming they knew. If he didn't tell the CPA and, the CPA, I guess, didn't ask for whatever reason, then maybe I could give them some grace.
In YouTube videos until about 12 months later when I got a bill from the IRS and the state of California for an $80,000 underpayment penalty in my taxes. Of course, when I confronted her about this,
I'd advise him that if he paid an amount equal to 100% of the tax amount from the prior year, he would not owe penalties. I did not realize this had to be paid in 4 quarterly installments or through payroll withholding, either of which he didn't do based on my advice. Okay, look. If you're self-employed, you got 2 options. You can either pay quarterly installments. Yeah, you owe taxes quarterly if you're self-employed. Or if you have an S corporation and you're running payroll, you can actually do your withholdings through your payroll. So if you elect to become an S corporation, which means you form an LLC, you get an EIN, you form an LLC, you fax in a form to the IRS that tells IRS how you want to be taxed as an S corporation. An S corporation is just an entity that you can 100% control as a sole proprietor, as an individual, sole proprietor. You control it. You have all the shares. The corporation doesn't pay tax. The tax flows through you directly to your tax return, and you have to pay yourself a reasonable salary. You have to pay yourself as if you were an employee of your corporation, which you are, commensurate with what you do for the corporation. It's called a reasonable salary. So you actually have to sign up for a payroll processor, and the payroll has to run. You run payroll monthly, quarterly, whatever you want to freaking do, or end of year bonus. But you can actually withhold federal and state taxes from your paycheck that you're paying to yourself from your corporation. Yes, you pay yourself as an employee from your corporation a reasonable salary. Those are your two options. You do withholdings or you pay quarterly tax payments. If you don't pay quarterly tax payments, you could still get your cheeks clapped. So you have to do one or the other. You have to understand this, okay? If you make a lot of income, you're going to be cooked if you're not paying quarterly payments or you're not doing withholdings. So keep that in mind.
She admitted that she made a mistake, but in order for that mistake to be reversed, I had to go and pay the $80,000. So I did. But when it came time to getting it reversed, a year later, the state of California denied my request because they said an accountant's error was not reasonable cause for not paying my taxes in full at the time it's due, even though I had written evidence of everything. I then filed an appeal, waited another year, and it was also denied. So instead of going after her errors in emissions insurance, I just took the loss on it. I figured it's my mistake for trusting her in the first place, and I switched accountants expecting it not to happen again. Except her mistakes didn't end there. Once I switched accountants, he caught that she didn't file the proper election on my corporation, essentially meaning...
Here it is. Okay, so this is Form 2553. This is an election to be taxed as an S corporation. It's very simple. Okay, it's super. I've done this before. It's super simple. You have the client fill it out and sign it. They give it back, the form back to you, and you can fax it into the IRS. Now, you should receive a form from the IRS saying they accepted your election. You should receive a form. And I'm actually going to ask my clients if they freaking got it. Oh, by the way, some of them did recent S elections. If you don't receive a form after a couple months, you need to contact your CPA. But you should receive a letter in the mail. But it's super simple. You sign it and you fax it in. It takes 10 minutes to do. I charge $50 to do it because it's a little bit of hassle. But that's once you fax it in, depending on when you fax it in, you can even do a late election if you want. You can choose to be taxed as an S corporation, and that basically can save you self-employment tax. But that's a whole nother video. So she didn't even fax. She didn't even fax in the form. Cooked. I love it.
Meaning that I would be double taxed on 2 years worth of income. Thankfully, we barely made the cutoff for all of that to be reversed and file the proper elections. But my gosh, lesson learned. That's why when it comes to your taxes, don't cheap out. Get the best person you can. Get a second opinion if it's necessary.
Hey, see the pinned comment?
Make sure you're paid up to date. And if errors do happen, because we're all human, just make sure they're corrected or amended as fast as possible. Although before we go into this next mistake, which is probably one of the most difficult for me to talk about that I've never shared before, it helps to remember that in the big picture, at least I wasn't browsing the internet without a VPN. Like, here's the thing.
Oh, shut up, Graham. Okay, so he got absolutely cooked by his freaking CPA. That is so freaking hilarious. All right, boys. Like I said, if you need a CPA, like I understand what the accountant did wrong. I get it. Okay. If you're making self-employment income, you need a CPA. I cannot tell you, I've seen multiple times where people have started a business. They didn't understand they had to make quarterly payments, and they get a huge bill at the end of the year. And they're freaking out. You don't want to be in that scenario. If you're self-employed, you can book a free consultation with me. The first consultation is free. You can sign up to be my client. We can set you up with estimated payments, or if you have an S corporation, we can set you up with payroll, and we can make sure you're good to go for tax time. And we can even do tax planning. So if you think, let's say it's 2026, next year, we can estimate what you think your profit's going to be. And then we can set up either withholdings through your W-2, through your wages, through your payroll that you run for yourself, or quarterly payments. We could set that up. and we can make sure that you don't get cooked at the end of the year. And the best thing of all is at the end of each taxable year, you can meet me in the first couple days or weeks after the next year, and we can calculate your profit and loss, put it into your tax return. We can see exactly how much you owe, and we can actually get you to pay your last installment and true up whatever money you actually owe for the prior year. So this actually is important, unless you're a freaking wagey. A wagey. What a manletto. All right. Anyway, book a free consultation. You can be my client. And yes, I will charge you after that. Pay Pigs Unite. Oh, well, we don't have any members commenting. That sucks. Oh, no. I guess I can't answer any of these comments. Look, if you want me to answer your comments, I'm not backing down on this. You need to sign up as a member of the channel. It's $4.99 a month. You get exclusive content. I'm going to be producing some member-only videos next week. I'm actually going on military travel starting tomorrow for a week. So I will be in a hotel. So I can't guarantee if the internet's going to be good. Probably isn't going to be good. But if it is, I'll go live. If not, I'll upload frickin' videos. Okay? So thank you for bearing with me. Oh, we got another member comment. I'm at work to support you, BB. That's right, boy. I bet you're working your butt off to pay that $4.99 a month. I bet you're struggling. I bet your kids are starving, and I love it. I don't care what happens to your family. You pay that $4.99 every freaking month, and you do it like a good little boy. Oh, God, I can't. I'm addicted. Yes. All right, guys. Seriously, if you're self-employed, or even if you're just a regular person, I do taxes for everybody. I don't do trusts. What else do I not do? I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, I don't do trusts. Oh, damn it. What are they called? Nonprofits. I don't do nonprofits. I just don't have the experience. Okay. At least I'll admit when I don't have the experience. I sold my kids already. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Graham Stephan got absolutely cooked. Don't let that happen to you. Sign up for some CPA services and have a wonderful night.